Neycha Baez, and today I'm reading The Honey Jar by Rigoberta, Menchu. And I'm reading the 4 chapters. And first chapter is Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun were born. When I was a little girl in Shimel, my birthplace, the village festival was a special holiday. Actually, we celebrated many holidays throughout the year for New Year's, Holy Week, planting and harvesting, marriages, and the Day of the Dead. The children would always ask, how much longer to the planting festival? Or how much longer to the Holy Week processions? And when will we receive the gifts of the harvest holiday? We kids have no patience. We went around asking our parents all sorts of questions, tugging on their skirts or coat sleeves. We were always waiting for something, and when one festival ended, we were ready for the next. But the holiday we looked forward to most of all was the village festival. There were always lots of sweets and food and a procession, followed by dancing all day long. We kids would scamper among the dancers who wore masks representing the sun, the moon, and the stars. They danced in circles because their heavenly bodies had moved in circles. The while the women would walk from one end of the village to the other. They resembled the flower garden as they showed off their multicolored upils. Our parents would explain why the elders put on their fanciest costumes and why the dancers, especially the sun and the moon, danced the whole day long. They were creating the world anew, playing out the story of thousands of years ago when Grandfather Sun reflected himself in the face of Grandmother Moon and saw a trace of sadness. Actually, Grandmother Moon was very, very sad, and when Grandfather Sun saw this, he realized that he had been feeling the same sadness for many hundreds of years. Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun lived suspended in the sky with the cotton candy clouds. Whenever they wanted, they'd grab a cotton ball, which was really a shred of cloud, and they'd eat this pink, orange, and blue cotton. And it was so sweet because the cotton candy clouds were made by spinning either white or brown sugar, depending on the season. Although Grandfather Sun was in love with Grandmother Moon and could see his own light reflected in his wife's face, he knew something was missing. And so, in the darkness that only Grandfather Sun with his golden hair and Grandmother Moon with her white eyelids could illuminate, they created stars from the 400 boys that appeared in the sacred book, the Popol Vuh. And Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun were very happy with the 400 boys, that is, with the stars flickering their tiny lights like pin pricks in the night. But soon enough, the novelty of their creation seemed to pass. So what are we going to do with these stars, these 400 flickering boys, who are as silent as the black sky in with which they hang? Stars, speak to us, Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun shouted together. But the stars said nothing. The grandparents were disappointed. So now, what are we going to do? They asked each other. Grandfather Sun once again noticed that sadness covered Grandmother Moon's face like a blue scar. And since his light was reflected in her face, he felt her sadness in his own heart. He was so angry that he made a sunspot explode, pow, when the huge sunspot lighting up several universes. Grandfather Sun began pacing back and forth in the sky, which wasn't empty as it had been before. He bumped into the stars, and they shattered into little bits called meteorites. Pow! Thousands of stars bits scattered and began to orbit the universe. Sometimes, at night, we see falling star with a long tail. It's because Grandfather Sun is walking along, bumping into the stars at his feet. What am I going to do to make my lovely moon happy? He asked. And pow, thousands of meteorites would shoot through the sky. This made Grandmother Moon laugh hard, but the first meteorites Grandfather's son created hit her, leaving marks on her pretty face. She didn't like this at all, so she learned to duck so that the meteorites sailed over her, and she thought, what can we create next so that we don't get bored? Both of them came up with the same idea at the same time. We'll create two great spirits who will be responsible for giving us happiness. We'll create the heart of Earth and give her the Maya name Uleel, and we'll create the heart of Heaven and give him the Maya name Yukuxka. The heart of Earth will be the tender and affectionate mother of the creatures born from the power in her belly, and the heart of Heaven will be the tender and affectionate father of the creatures born from the power in his belly. So it will be, said Grandmother Moon and Grandfather's son. They were so happy that they began a dance, forming a huge circle with the stars, which were really the 400 boys. This is why the dancers wear masks representing the sun, the moon, and the stars for the village festival. They danced all day long in memory of that time so long ago when Grandmother Moon and Grandfather's son created our mother, the heart of Earth, and our father, the heart of Heaven. When Grandmother Moon and Grandfather's son grew tired of dancing, they called Mother Earth and Father Sky over to them. We are very bored living alone in the universe. We made the stars, but they don't speak. Now we want you to make creatures of all sizes and colors to bring joy to our hearts, so that there will be sounds in the universe, so that this huge black silence will become a symphony of colors, and everyone will live happily. Of course, Grandmother Moon, Grandfather's son, said Mother Earth. So it shall be, Grandmother Moon, Grandfather's son, said Father Sky, and as if they were children given clay to make figurines, they happily began to make all sorts of things. First, they created the sea, and the earth was covered with the blue waters of one huge ocean. And now that we've created the sea, they said, well, what shall we fill it with? Fish, they both said at the same time. And they amused themselves making fish, both large and small. The sea was like a huge party with all its creatures always on vacation. The water of the sea was salty, and soon Mother Earth and Father Sky were thirsty. Where will we find fresh water to drink? They asked. There were no lakes, no rivers, no fountains, just a huge wide ocean. So they spoke with their grandparents, who smiled and said, to find fresh water there must be land, and on this land springs, rivers, and lakes. Mother Earth and Father Sky were very happy, and like children they began to make meadows, mountains, volcanoes, hills, canyons, ravines, and jungles out of clay, and trees, so many trees that they didn't all fit on the land. And plants and herbs and flowers. The world was one huge green thicket. Even today's deserts were full of vegetation back then. Here and there, they created rivers of fresh water, where their faces could be reflected, and where the stones were as polished, as shiny as brand new jewels. And Mother Earth stretched across all the land she had created and merged with it. That's why Mother Earth is everywhere. She is the ground we walk on and the mountains we see. For several centuries, our grandparents were happy with what they saw, though they suspected that something was still missing. And it was true that something was missing. For a while, the ocean was a festival of flying fish. On the earth, plants and trees and flowers grew silently. The animals of the earth are missing, Mother Earth and Father Sky cried together, more pleased than ever. They began to shape animals out of clay. And all of a sudden, the earth was filled with endless chatter, especially when they made birds, the noisiest creatures in the whole universe. The birds flew from branch to branch, singing, shouting, and at times even talking. Some, like the clacking macaws, created a loud, crazy quilt of noise. In color, no one could sleep with the fuss the animals made. Mother Earth was happy with all the little creatures, like painted clay dolls in her bosom. Then Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun called Mother Earth and Father Sky over. What you've created is beautiful. We're so happy to see water in the sea and on the earth, to see fish in the sea and animals on land. Those things that should be in one place and those in another. The noise from the sea and the earth is music to our ears. Surely we are not alone now. A great happiness filled the hearts of Mother Earth and the Father Sky when they heard their grandparents' words. But it came to an end when their grandparents said, "Something's still missing. We need a creature who can love and cry and is made of the stuff of nature. A creature who will have sons and daughters, grandsons and granddaughters, and great-grandchildren, generation after generation, and who will live in goodness. A creature who will cross the breadth of time like a humble walker, like a simple traveler, like a gentle wanderer. A creature capable of thanking us." So Mother Earth and Father Sky got down on their knees and asked their grandparents for the strength, the knowledge, and the wisdom to create the fullness of life. The grandparents danced and danced amid lightning and endless thunder. It rained day and night, and life grew on the earth for all eternity. Chapter 3. The Keepers of the Earth. Mother Earth called towards the four corners of the universe, daughters of the earth, sons of the sun, sons of the sky, daughters of the clouds and the waters. Her cry echoed, "Earth, sun, sky, clouds, waters." Father Sky called towards the four corners of the universe. "Everyone's invited to the party. Everyone join in." His words resounded, "Party, everyone." His call reached all the creatures of creation. Their heads turned towards his powerful voice. They came by air, land and water, flying, slithering, walking and swimming towards Mother Earth and Father Sky. And they came together and stared at one another. The elephant was perplexed to see a mouse so small, and the mouse to see an elephant so huge. The fly greeted his cousin, the mosquito. The turtle raced with the hare. The alligator opened her huge snout, and a hummingbird approached to see what was inside. The armadillo showed off his warrior-like shell. The tiger greeted the cat and asked if perhaps they were related. The bee was drunk on the sweetness of so many flowers. The owl nodded sleepily in delight, and the sloth, hanging from one branch, understood him perfectly well. The songbirds conversed with the parakeets, while the parrots gave lengthy speeches as if they were politicians. How wonderful it was for all the creatures to learn about each other, and they talked and questioned, wanting to know each and every detail. The creatures laughed in their animal languages. Sometimes they didn't understand each other, but they all understood that they were the grandchildren of Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun, and the children of Mother Earth, the heart of Earth and Father Sky, the heart of heaven. With their mysterious tongues, they said, "Ajah is our creator." And then Mother Earth and Father Sky began to take attendance. "Jaguar," they shouted. "Present," answered Jaguar. And while they took attendance, Mother Earth and Father Sky told the creatures, "Now we will give you a chore for each and every day of your life. You must be the keepers of human beings, the Nahuals of humankind. White-tailed deer, present. Brown deer, present. Gray deer, tigers, lions, wildcats, pumas, present. You will be the Nahuals, the keepers who will sustain the power of the universe with your four paws. Coyotes, wolves, wild dogs, present. You will be the Nahuals, the keepers of justice. You will be the judges and the defenders of the truth. You will be the carriers of the signs and omens of the future. Owls of all types present. You will be the Nahuals, the keepers of death and the other world. You will be the messengers between the spirits of our ancestors and the spirits of the living, white bears and gray bears present. You will be the Nahuals of the snow, the fog, the rain, and the rivers. You will be the permanent guardians of the air, and your breath will reach the four corners of the universe. And so it went for 20 days. Ajah, the heart of earth. Mother Earth, the heart of heaven. Father Sky went on calling the animals one by one, giving each its mission on the earth. And that's why each creature is an Nahual, the keeper of something, because this is what Mother Earth and Father Sky decided. Final chapter, chapter 4. Why the elders are the four corners of the universe. Now I'm going to tell you what Ajah, the heart of earth, Mother Earth, the heart of heaven, Father Sky, did after giving each animal his mission. He called all the elders of the world together. Shushuib, he called the female elders. Satai, he called the male elders. Shushuib and Satai are the names given to the grandmothers and grandfathers. The elders began arriving from the four corners of the universe, leaning on their pine wood canes with their withered, wrinkled faces, their brown freckles and white hair, but with the nobility of ancient people. Shuib, he called the female elders. Time, he called the male elders. Grandmothers and grandfathers dragged themselves to him with their toothless mouths, with their eyes that seemed not to see but saw all that is deep in our hearts. They had been walking the four paths of the earth for a long time, the red path, the white path, the yellow path, and the black path. The four magical paths of wisdom. That's why they couldn't see things far off, but only those close up with great depths. Shushuib called Ajah the heart of earth, Tatai called Ajah the heart of heaven. Here we are, said the elders from beneath the hats that protected them from the sun. We are also here to receive our mission. Then Ajah spoke to them. Shushuib, Tatai, you, the elders of great birth, of great reverence, will be the paths and guides to direct the future of creation. You will be the columns, the guardians of the spirit of the creator of the universe. This is why our elders deserve respect from all women and men, girls and boys. They are the paths, the guides, the columns of the spirit of the universe. They are the advice and the experience. Within them is the treasure of lives that have seen the passage of time in their heads and hearts. This is why you must always let them pass before you. You must give them the places of honor, and you must always bow your head in respect. We owe so much to our grandmothers and grandfathers. Shushuib Tatai, you are going to build cities all over the world. Each city will have its own songs, paintings, palaces, and houses, temples and dances, prayers and pleasures, languages and books, poetry and music. And in each city, the natural world will be reflected in all of those things. Shushuib Tatai. Let each city be pleased with its own songs and dances, and let each also be happy with the songs and dances of others. The happiness of the world will sprout from these differences. Shushuib Tatai, our elder women and men, you will be given the power to talk to the wind, to the hills, to the roads. You will gain wisdom from talking to them, and you will pass it on to your daughters, sons, granddaughters, grandsons, so that they will learn from nature how to live in peace with one another. They will know that the earth does not belong to them, but that they are part of it. The earth will be a sacred place, a place created for the dreams of all generations. Shushuib Tatai. Thanks to your counsel, people will plant their dreams on the earth, and their dreams will blossom as if they were magic flowers. The others were in awe as they listened to Ajah speak. They took off their straw hats to show that they accepted the mission they had been given. They've made a pact with the Creator, and this is how the natural laws of creation were established. To celebrate the occasion, Ajah called the lightning and thunder so that they could announce the great pact. The earth lit up with the white light of lightning, and a split second later, the sky shook with the drum roll of thunder. Boom! Echoed back and forth between the clouds. Boom! 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 This was the sign that the pact between Ajah and the others had been made.